About 10 years ago I was diagnosed with skin cancer, and in this video I'm going to tell you about how it first spread beyond the skin and what the doctors did to stop it. Now, I did sport to GCSE and I did biology to A-level, so I did think I knew a bit about the human body. I mean, I can still remember most of the major muscle groups and several of the common bones. I remember learning about arteries and veins and digestion and all that sort of stuff, but I don't remember anything about the lymphatic system. I don't think I ever learned about it. So here's a crash course. Lymph is a clear fluid, or lymphatic fluid. It gets carried around the body in what's called lymph vessels. And those lymph vessels collect excess fluid from all over the body. And this lymphatic system filters out waste and harmful substances like bacteria and viruses and abnormal cells, which include cancer. And then it returns all the good stuff back into the bloodstream so that it can be reused and filters out the bad stuff. The key organs in the lymph system are the spleen, the tonsils, and the thymus. But the points where several lymphatic vessels combine, those are called nodes. And whenever you're looking for cancer, those lymph nodes are a key part of the system. And whenever cancer cells start to spread beyond their original site, in my case the skin on my arm, the first place that they start to gather is the closest sentinel lymph node. There's sentinel lymph nodes at key points all around the body. There's the neck and the groin, the trunk, and in my case, because the melanoma was on my arm, the lump I felt was the lymph node under my armpit. I'm a big fan of the health service. I know it's got serious problems, but when I've needed them, they've always been there. Not just me, but my whole family. They've always been there when it matters. Cancer care is relatively well funded within the health service, and the team that dealt with me was very well managed and had really good communications. They work in what's called multidisciplinary teams, so you got surgeons and oncologists and radiologists and so on. They all work together and they meet once a week and they discuss whatever cases it is that they need to deal with. So after a couple of weeks of waiting, the multidisciplinary team, they met about me and they had planned the best course of action for my cancer. The first steps was find out what's wrong. So they had an MRI ordered and something called a PET scan. So it's a 3D PET scan. Can't remember what it stands for, but it highlights areas of the body where cells are very active, because in cancer cells are very active. Problem was there's only one scanner, or there was at that time only one scanner in Northern Ireland, and it was being repaired. So we had to wait a week for that. And when it did happen, let's just say the science fascinates me. They injected me with radioactive dye. Unfortunately, I didn't glow in the dark. I didn't gain any new superpowers. But the scan would give a good picture of where the cancer was in my body. Find out if it had spread beyond the armpit that we already know about from the surgery, before the surgery. And then, of course, we had to wait for somebody to interpret those scans. I have to say, the waiting is the thing that gets to me most. Waiting at every stage. You have to wait for scans, you wait for scan results, you wait for surgery, you wait to see how the surgery went. I have always found that really hard. I would much prefer to be doing something, even if it's a difficult thing that you're doing. It's the waiting just gets for me. Knowing that there's an evil cancer growing inside me, and not knowing how far it has spread, not knowing how long I've got to live, essentially. I've never been afraid of death. We're all going to die someday. I believe the Bible. And in Philippians chapter 3 verse 20, the Bible says, our citizenship is in heaven. And when we get there, Jesus will transform our worn out body to be like his glorious body. Which sounds great, even if I'm not exactly sure what that will be like. I'm still looking forward to it because I trust what the Bible says. But there are a ton of things that I had planned to do first before I die. I have responsibilities here. I have a family that I don't want to leave in the lurch. I suppose dying is never particularly tidy, and there are always loose ends that somebody is going to have to be left to tie up whenever we're gone. To be fair, maybe it's my mindset that needs to be changed to be ready to die. After a couple of very nervous weeks, the scan results looked good, and I got a date for my node dissection, as they call it. The date was the 22nd of January 2019. I didn't really have much experience of hospitals, so I just took the attitude that I would trust what the experts said. I would trust them to take care of me. Waiting is hard, but I am okay with handing my life over to other people and letting them do their thing, because they're the experts. The surgery was planned to take 2 hours, and well, of course, because I was under anaesthetic, it seemed instant for me. But apparently, when they opened me up, they discovered that my nerves and tendons run through the middle of my muscles. That's unusual, apparently, and they had to stop and just reassess how they were going to do, or what they were going to do. So the surgery ended up taking twice as long as expected, and my family, waiting and praying to hear how it went, they got very worried. And so ever since then, whenever I have surgery, I don't tell anybody what time it starts, or how long it's going to take, or how long it's expected to take. Recovery in the Ulster Hospital, it was their brand new ward, and it was very pleasant. I had a room all to myself. I had lots of visitors every day, at any time of the day, and I could wander around the hospital at will. Although I did have a drain coming out of my armpit, and I had to carry a bottle of lymphatic fluid everywhere I went. But aside from that, it was grand. It was pleasant enough for me, but my poor wife, Claire, was worked off her feet at home, as well as running up and down to the hospital to visit me. There was another thing that I learned while I was in the hospital that I will take on board for the next time. Wearing pyjamas all day, every day in hospital, with nothing to stimulate me, I could feel myself falling into a downward mental spiral. And so ever since then, and top tip, whenever I go into hospital now, if at all possible, I get up, I get dressed, I get washed every morning, and I find something to do. It took 10 days for the fluid to stop draining out of my arm, and so then after that I got home from hospital. If you watched my previous video and you're curious, Mr. Tohill, the plastic surgeon, removed 11 lymph nodes from under my arm, and only one of them contained cancer.